What's going on, family? How are you? Welcome into another Stock Sermon Sundays. Hopefully, you're doing well. If you're here live, let me know where you're tuning in from. Who's here? As you're trickling in late, just let me know where you're tuning in from. As always, if you come into the next one, you're rewatching this one. The benefit of being here live is you get to ask questions in our chat. All right, and this is no strings attached. I just decided to do this for free on this YouTube channel to come on here and give you some game. But I know a lot of people typically have follow-up questions. So if you want some questions answered on here live, make sure you tune in live at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sundays until further notice. Okay. We typically give about a 5-minute buffer as well. So it just prepares people to come in before I get started yapping my gums. All right. So thank you so much for being here as always and for the support on the channel. And hopefully you've had a great start to the new year. And we'll talk about all those things today about how the economy is going with these Trump tariffs, as well as what may be coming for this year. Since January finished off a little bit shaky, a little bit rough, how does that pan out for the remainder of 2025? Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of horrific events and shocking events have happened leading up into 2025. And it seems like every day, the meme that I think is going around now is the longest 31 days that people could have imagined. And what we do here, specifically on this channel and as well as in my community, Leverage University, in my Discord and my clients and the people I'm surrounded by outside of these public social platforms, is that we reframe any quote unquote negative news or distractions as opportunities. All right. So if you are struggling with that, or you're trying to find a way of how to do that because you just can't shake what news is being brought into your sphere, please make sure that you are in some type of support community, some type of just energy where you feel constantly reinvigorated, right? Constantly figuring out that another day is coming. You have another breath that you're able to have and another step that you're able to take. And if that is a possibility for you, then you are sitting in a blessing. All right. As of late, it's just been seeming at times that we are, as a society, we're on eggshells, right? Which way do I go? Who do I trust? What knowledge should I be seeking? What move should I be making? And every time that question has been coming into my realm, hey, Megan, every time that question has been coming into my realm, what I've been trying to advise or suggest for anybody is that get real comfortable with that being a continuous occurrence. Get real comfortable with you being confused. Get real comfortable with things not going your way right away. Be real comfortable that it seems like, man, I feel like I'm supposed to be getting support, but I feel still alone, right? I hired this coach or this mentor, or I'm in this community, or, I'm not getting what I want or not getting what I needed, or I don't know who to, like, it seems like this value is not clear to me. Get real comfortable. It's like, why should I get comfortable with not getting what I need or what I'm giving my time, energy, and maybe even hard-earned money for? Is because you are your own individual. Right? What did the teacher or what did your mentors or what did, especially my parents out there, what are you teaching your children? Hey, I'm going to show you a couple times how to ride this bike. We're going to do some training wheels. We're going to go on a couple of drives together when you're 15 and 16. But then I'm entrusting in you to come back with questions, to come back with what you've worked on, to come back with, did you fall or did you succeed? So get real comfortable for my grown folks out here, my millennials, my Gen X. I know my community, that it's not going to make sense a lot of times. And that's okay. Just make sure you have the right people around you where you can have very intelligent discussions about what's going on, so you don't have to put it all on your shoulders. Right? Because what do? A lot of us, we retract. Like, man, I'll just figure it out on my own. Right? I'll just go back. Right? Just make sure that you're around people where you feel comfortable saying no judgment. It's okay that you're confused. It's okay that you didn't get it right away. It's okay that you're in limbo right now. But let's take that one step forward. Everybody good? Everybody good? Awesome. Give me one in the chat if you're here live, if that is a good start to our discussion this evening. Blessings. Some wins that I want to shout out really quick from our community members inside of Leverage is Dennis. Awesome job, man, this month or past month. He had a green month inside of his portfolio in trading. So awesome job, man. I want to shout out Megan as well for taking some solid trades and jumping back in. I want to shout out Dreama as well for finally joining the community inside of Leverage and seeing that, hey, this is free value. There's game, but there's a little bit more that is to this than just giving one YouTube video a week to summarize almost everything that can happen during the week. All right. And shout out to those that are getting value here that maybe you're okay with just sitting right here and you don't even tell me, right? And the things that are being said on these Stock Sermon Sundays, or maybe our Thought Leader Thursdays, or any other educational video that we have on this platform that you're getting value from. So please let me know. Just reach out in a DM or something of that nature and say, hey, Brian, like that video helped. And why I do that is not for my own ego, is because it helps me make more videos like that to serve everybody, right? So please do not be shy. If something helped you in a video or something helped you in an educational piece, just a little bit from a mindset, a life perspective, it helped you during the week, if it's from the economy, or it helped you save a little bit of money or make a little bit of money, just let me know so I can make more and more of that content. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate you. All right, let's jump into it. I'm gonna share my screen here and we'll get going right away. All right. As always, while I'm sharing my screen and while I'm sharing this content, I want to make sure that everybody, gets their questions answered. So as we round out this, if anything comes to mind for you, if you're here live, just go ahead and put it in the comments so I can go through and answer all those questions. If there's any stocks that you want charted out, hey, Ryan, I was looking at this. What do you think about it? Anything like that, I can give you some levels and chart out those specific levels of buy zones and also trading opportunities as well. Okay. Um, Really quick as well, been getting a lot of questions around Leverage University and what things you should join. And whenever there's things to join or to go forward with, I never want anyone confused. Right? It's kind of like you go to Chick-fil-A. It's like there's too many options. Do I want this, and they introduce a new menu item or retract a new menu item, and you're wondering, well, which one do I go to because my original is not there anymore, right? Um, so right in the middle, there's three options right now. Okay. And there will be more in the future, but I wanted to simplify everything coming into 2025. This WAP platform, the reason why I've been using it for anybody is because it automatically adds Discord roles to anyone who joins. So if you decide to pause your subscription or renew it, or you like it, whatever, your Discord roles, which gives you access into specific channels inside of our Discord community. As you see, some people have access to all the way down here at their syndicate, mentorship level, university level, so on and so forth. And some people only have access to a couple of community trading, or excuse me, a couple of community channels and chats here. So with the WAP platform, and that being the interface that I'm using to, bring people in, it automatically gives you roles. So if you don't have it 1 month, or you have it 1 month, you lose access, and then you gain access, whatever it is. So that is the reasoning I switched over to that, is because it has simplified my life so much. So I appreciate everybody who has transferred over to that and is using it currently. If you still are lingering inside of our community and you're rewatching this, please reach out and I can get you transferred over. And if you're new, like Dreama or anybody else, you're already in. You're good to go. All right. So our university and live trading section is exactly where you would like to be, because that gives you the most bang for your buck. That gives you all my trainings inside of the university section. We're coming out and transferring all of our courses over into the WAP platform. So that gives you access to that. Any pop-up lives or anything I do in the Discord, you'll automatically get notified and access to those trainings. And, if I just do an afternoon analysis, or I want to do an educational thing randomly in the week, you get access to those things. Okay. Our Thought Leader Hub, if you are familiar with Patreon for a lot of folks, right? Our Thought Leader Hub is someone that just says, hey, I enjoy the content on your social, on your page, on YouTube. I just want to be a part of the community and be a part of growth, life-wise, financial-wise, and you can join that for $1 a day. Okay, so that's what that is for our Thought Leader Hub. I just wanted to a place where people feel like they can join and just be a part of something. And that gives you access into our Thought Leader Hub, where I'm doing more mindset work, and then obviously our club rooms chat. So a lot of people have questions on, side hustles, podcasting, words of wisdom, real estate questions, personal finance questions. That's where our credit chat is. If you need help with, what credit card to get, whatever, it just gives you access to those chats, right? So just want to clarify that. And then our mentorship is right here. That it gives you access to myself a little bit more, where we have a private chat. So if you noticed here, I included, just for everyone, I know it doesn't matter to some folks, but just wanted to go ahead and introduce this really quick. Okay. So there's 2 levels, okay, that I've introduced, which is this $300 a month level. There was people that were asking like, hey, Brian, like, I just want to have a private chat with you, right? And still be involved in the community, but I want to have my questions answered first. Right? So that's what that is. If you see these names here, a lot of people that have invested, in a large capacity with myself, they have renewed into maybe that level or so, where they get a private chat. I'm answering their questions. I may do like a one call with them a month, things like that. It's just a little bit more touch base. Okay. So that's why I included that. And then if someone wants a bigger mentorship, then obviously it's a bigger investment. So all that being said, I want to get that out of the way, and let's jump into these tariffs and what's going on. So, all right, just Google this, time.com. What are Trump's tariffs imposing on these import taxes and things of that nature? So there's a lot of people that are very privy to what tariffs are and how all this affects, but sometimes we get too into the weeds, and just because we're adults and just because we're supposed to know these things, we may need a refresher. So I wanted to pull this up really quick and just say, well, what are tariffs? Right? Like, let's just define what those are. Import tariffs, the kind of tariffs Trump is levying, are taxes placed on goods imported from other countries. Right? There are also export tariffs, which are taxes on goods brought out of a country, though these are much more rare. There are several types of tariffs, and the kind that Trump is imposing is known as an ad valorem tariff, meaning the tax on the imported goods is calculated as the percentage of the product's value. So all that fancy stuff is saying is that he's trying to Americanize the U.S. again. Right? We want American companies. We want anyone that's trying to do international trade, like an NVDA, an Apple, any of our large corporations in the tech space, and Walmart, a lot of our retailers as well that are doing this international trade across borders. Hey, if you want to save money and you want to operate your business in the US, you need to figure out a way how to do it here. Otherwise, we're going to tax based off of that international trade. Right. So another good article that was presented, which we've been talking about, I think I mentioned it probably like 3 or 4 months ago, right? Back in October, November, when he was coming to office, I was pretty much presenting the opportunity that, hey, if these tariffs are still on the docket, okay, and as this is loading here, if these tariffs are still on the docket, that means that there is still a possibility. Loading. All right, here we go. As it's loading, and I'll reintroduce it here. As these tariffs are still on the docket, that essentially means that there's going to be some pain for Americans. It's going to be some pain for some companies. You may dislike me for a little bit. You may not like what I'm doing. You may not like that I'm tanking the stock market, all those things. But behind the scenes, I'm looking kind of at the big picture, right? And I think the reason why a lot of people gravitated over towards quote unquote liking Trump in office is because he's doing some very drastic things that maybe other parties aren't willing to do or weren't willing to do, right? And some people like it, some people don't. But if someone says, hey, I want my taxes lower, hey, I want my eggs to be freaking lower, hey, I want my groceries to be lower, he might be in his administration, and I'm not, politically inclined here on this channel as far as pushing one way or the other. I'm just saying that whoever's in office, which he is right now, he's saying this is my best way of doing that. Y'all want cheaper stuff? You want your taxes to actually be lower, your property taxes, things of that nature, then you're going to have to go through some pain. It's not going to be sunshine, rainbows right away. So he clearly said it here. I told you what I was going to do. With tariff sign, Trump warns of pain to come for Americans. A day after signing steep new tariffs from Mexico, Canada, and China, acknowledge what economists, members of Congress, and even some of his own aides in previous lives have been saying all along. So this isn't a surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise for anybody. I think a lot of my fellow content creators, I think Ricky and some other folks have been talking about it. It's like, hey, he said he was going to do this. So get ready for it to see a little bit of red in the market. Get ready for some of these bad things that are like, what is going on in the world, for these things to be happening in a short period of time. This will be the golden age of America. There will be some pain. Yes, maybe and maybe not. Trump posted in capital letters on his Truth social media platform. The message, which appeared in the hour before Trump arrived to West Palm Beach, Florida, his golf club, for the second day in a row. Trump is serious about fulfilling his campaign promises to end illegal immigration, curb the flow of deadly drugs, and rebalance continental trade. But doing so will be uncomfortable, Trump is suggesting, and could serve to undermine another of his top campaign vows: lowering costs for Americans. We will make America great again. It will be all worth the price that must be paid. We are a country that is now being run with common sense, and the results will be spectacular. Instead of a new trade war lowering grocery or fuel prices, Trump on Sunday pointed to a result he never mentioned when he was running for annexing Canada as an American state. So I'm not going to read all these things. You're more than welcome to read it yourself. Just go to this particular headline with tariff sign, Trump warns of pain to come for Americans, and read through this. Now, you're not going to agree with some things. You may agree with some. It doesn't really, the general gist is I'm trying to help Americans, so on and so forth, as far as bringing your costs down. And to do that, I've got to start taxing these companies and also start, making them feel some pain. So those cost savings can be passed down to you. So if you have any questions or if you have any insight, please put in the comments. I'm not proclaiming to know everything. I'm just delivering the facts and the information. This isn't opinion based. I'm just throwing it out there. All right. Put a 2 in the chat if you are agreeant to move forward. If you're in agreement to move forward. So now that we're on the same page about the pain that could be inflicted, well, what is that pain? All right. Let me check the chat really quick. Make sure everybody's good. 2's in the chat. 2's in the chat. Trump is doing great for USA. Yeah. Yep. It will keep going up for sure. For sure. I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. All right. Cool. Think we're good. Think we are good. We'll talk about crypto as well today. Let's jump into the charts. And let's see what we got on the docket today or this week. Excuse me. And as well, quick pause while we're going through this, if anyone is new to my page or new to my channel, I'm a long-term investor as far as, seeing things go up over a long period of time. I'm also a trader as well, futures, options. I do not trade equity personally, unless it's a penny stock or unless it's crypto. But of course, the stock market goes up over a period of time, over a long period of time. So I have no qualms against that. I think sometimes it can get mixed views and signals when people seemingly are fear mongering, right? Like, oh, these are bad things. These are bad things. If you aren't warned about these things or what this stuff means, you won't see it as an opportunity, because everyone is potentially fearful. So they may sell if you're uneducated, right? And the only reason I know that is because my DMs half the time are, hey, should I sell this? Should I buy this? Should I, what's going to happen next? What should I do with my long-term portfolio? What if it takes a big hit like 2020 or 2022? I'm like, hold and buy more, right? You're going to have to go through some pain, unfortunately, if those things start to progress like a 2022 bear market, right? But over a long period of time, what happened after 2021, 2022, in that 2020 drop, 2023, 2024, great years, right? So it's putting things into perspective that some people aren't willing to go through those short-term pains because it's painful. It's painful to see your maybe portfolio be down 20%, 30%, whatever it might be, right? All right, February 3rd, PMI tomorrow, ISM manufacturing tomorrow. We have Atlanta Fed president speaking. That should be interesting. So decent Monday as far as a new month starts. I'm expecting maybe some recovery if there's some good news from this data, but the trend right now is your friend, and the trend change in the short term has changed to more bearish. Okay, there's extreme selling on Friday. Okay, if you notice that extreme selling on Friday, right after the Trump tariffs were announced, I personally think that if these data points can't save it, we may have February being a little bit more selling pressure. Okay. Tuesday, job openings. That'll be important. Factory orders, important. More PMI, a lot of Fed speakers in response. So a lot of volatility there with the Fed speakers. Jobless claims, as always, on Thursday. And then the employment report. So how our employment data is doing is going to be very important for inflation. We already know that Fed Powell has paused rates, and that was expected. So the market reacted a little bit, meh for FOMC. So yeah, that's my summary there for how this week is going. Now, for my beginners out there, anytime I'm talking about what's going on for the week, I'm talking about for my traders specifically. If you are a long-term investor, right, and you see red in the market, those are sale opportunities. Don't overthink it. If you are a buy and hold investor and you see red in the market, buy a little bit, right? That should be your simple strategy. Buy a little bit. Put it on a recurring buy that you can manage weekly, monthly, or maybe even daily. So I never want my stock sermon Sundays or any YouTube videos to be confusing for people as, well, Brian, which way are you talking about it going? Is it bearish or is it bullish? It's bullish long term. But if you are trading or you're worried about the market like this week, you've got to look at what's happening with this inflation data, right? And these numbers, because these numbers will start to predict what the Fed does in the next meeting. So that is why investors like myself, active investors, and maybe you're an active investor as well, why we look at it weekly is because we can then project, not predict, project what will happen in the next meeting, which will be a couple months from now. So that's how we prepare. So I was talking about this meeting back in November and October. I was like, the inflation data still doesn't look good, everybody. Like, I think we could have some more selling pressure. And what happened in December? What happened in January? Did it not kind of pan out that way? Right? That is why this data is important and keeping up with it. If we start seeing more positive things happening, then that's when you can start to project that there may be a rate cut, or there may be, some more positive news, or hey, these tariffs are actually really, really working and they're good, right? So we can start buying up heavier. But as data and news and these earnings are a little bit shaky, right, we could have potentially lower as we jump on the charts. Can I get a 3 in the chat for everybody? Does that make sense? 3 in the chat for everybody. Does that make sense? I want to simplify. I want to make these Sundays as simple as possible for people. Good? All right. Cool. Make sure where the chat is. The chat disappeared on me. have to pull it back up. There it is. There it is. 333. All right, let me puts about to print tomorrow. Yep, they are. They are. I think we got more downsides, so more puts are about to print tomorrow. Just paid $6 for girls. Man, just paid $6 for Girl Scout cookies, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy out here. Yeah, I agree. I agree. 333. Everybody good? Keep going. All right, cool. For those that are rewatching and you're like, man, like I'm not here live, Dr. B. I'm not here live. Uh, I don't get it just yet. Please, like, let me know in the comments after the video if you're rewatching this that it seems like everybody's getting this but me, right? I'm a person that never wants anyone left out as far as you not understanding. So if it's still not clear about what I'm talking about, please make sure that you are asking those questions. All right. I'm getting notifications. Stock futures are plummeting after Trump hits tariffs. Oh, man. All right. You see all this red here? Let's jump into the charts. At this time, go ahead and put any stocks that you are potentially have questions on. And I'll go over each and every one of them. Okay. So you see right there that after hours right now, the light gray area on my charts is what's happening after hours. When the market in the New York session, meaning the US, is closed, okay? You see this dark black area. That's when the market is open, okay? So if you see these black and white stripes, looks like a football field, that's what that means. So I can see the entirety of what's happening when the market's open, what has happened when it's closed, back open, and now what's happening when it's closed. So I know that when I wake up in the morning that it will probably be back down at this 597 for SPY. Okay. So mark 597 on your charts. And here's the reasoning why. Okay. Do you see this confluence here? We got previous resistance. If you've watched my videos, confluence meaning a lot of action happening at those areas. So you see that this used to be resistance at about 597, 598. There it is at support, bounced up. There it is kind of again. There's a little bit of a touch right there. There's an area of interest right there again, right there again, right there again. So this is a major area around 597 that's going to be very important for SPY to hold up, okay? If we start breaking that level, okay, on a bigger time frame, and I'll need to make a video about that because when I say break a level, for people that are just learning this, they're like, Brian, what do you mean? It went below 597, but I got in puts and then it went right back up, okay? We want it below those levels on a bigger time frame, okay? I typically look at a 30 or a 1 hour time frame. So if you see this 30-minute, do you see this yellow line that I had right about here at 604? Do you see how strongly that candle closed below that yellow line, right? On a 30-minute time frame, it closed below. The next candle then opened up and went lower. That's what I mean by that, okay? Not just that it ticked below it for a second and then got bought back up and went all the way back up, okay? So in the morning, it will be down here, right in that area, okay? So it could keep falling right away, which I've seen before, and go all the way down here again back to this 590, 589 level on SPY. Now, what also could happen is we could hold this level and come right back up to try to retest about 601. Okay. So what are you saying, Brian? I still like puts if we go higher. Okay. I still like puts. As you can see that any retracement that we're having up, we're pretty much giving all the gains right back in a day or two. Right. So if you're trading, it's great. But if you're a long-term holder or buyer, you bought at 597 and went all the way back up to 608. And then in one fell swoop, you're right back down to where you are and you're back at break even. You're like, dang, I bought the dip, but I didn't sell. So now I'm right back to break even. So that's what I mean, that the volatility is very, very wide right now. and why I still like more downside. So, in my opinion, okay, for the short term, okay. So I'll give you a like a bottom level where I personally think we could go if some things get ugly, where it'd be a bigger buy zone, okay. So if we push up back into this 604, and if you're inside of Leverage University or the community and you get some of the signals or the strategies or the trade ideas, I will let everybody know if I see this tomorrow or into Tuesday. If we push back up tomorrow just a little bit, back up into 603, 604, maybe even 605, right? We could get weak again one more time. Okay. So if you're playing calls or you're buying shares in equity and you're trading up, all right, just make sure, I've been warning people about this, make sure you trim your profits. We are not out of the water for more selling pressure just yet. Okay. So buy the dip if you're more comfortable only trading the upside, but just please be mindful that as the green candles go up, make sure if you're in the green, trim. That means sell some, take some contracts off if you're trading options, because look at this. Again, all the way up here, if someone bought calls on Friday and did not take their profit at 609 resistance, you ended the day red when you were green. That's what I mean, how much selling pressure can come in. Now we'll push back up, maybe again, but look, we're still forming lower highs. You see right there? That's still technically a lower high. Does everyone see that? Okay. So that's what I mean. Really quick, let me give you a little educational content as well while we're here so you can see what I'm talking about. I want you to look at this formation. Do you see this lower high? We did not come all the way back up to 610.78. Do you see how it's technically still a lower high like that and how drastic that selling pressure was off of that level? Now, I want you to look at the same type of setup when I go into Friday. Do you see how that looks exactly the same? See how it pushed up and it was looking like it was going to take off, and it was a quote unquote bull trap, lower high, and then drastic selling with tariff news. Right. So the better that you get, or the more that you study this skill set, you'll start recognizing patterns. And when those patterns present, that is why I signaled probably one of the ultimate signals that that signal would have paid for some. If you're still holding that signal, let me know. Or that trade, I should say. I don't like using the word signal, but that trade. Here, people. Come on. Come on. Don't start doing this to me now. Y'all see the mouse got for a second? Thank y'all for y'all's patience. About 40 minutes in. Come on. Really? Mouse just got stuck. Come on. All right, there we go. We're moving again. We are moving again. May have too many things open. All right, we're just going to go back to the charts. Just going to go back to the charts. And once this thing starts speeding back up a little bit, then I'll show some signals in the community. Cool. All right, SPY 597, going over SPY. Everybody good on SPY levels? Everybody good on SPY levels? So ideally 604. The higher it goes back into 604, maybe even 605. I like that rejection again for puts. That is a better risk to reward if it pops back up there. Okay, so that's an idea. If it pops back up into this 604, 605 area, you see there's resistance, there's a little bit of support. That area would be of interest for another put opportunity back down. Okay, so now if we fall immediately, I want it to hold below 595 ideally. Okay, I want it to get below this area here of 595 for confidence of weakness to go lower down into this 590. Okay, but if we fall lower immediately, I'm kind of probably chill on the puts. Okay, I'm saying that right now. If we fall lower immediately, I'm probably going to chill on the puts until I get a little bit more confirmation. Okay, do you see that 595 area right here? Because if we fall below that 595, 596, there's a gap all the way down to 591, and then an even bigger gap all the way down to 582. So my folks that aren't on the charts as much as maybe some of us, just know that these gaps will get filled if we start to get weaker, and it will get real drastic. Okay. Does everyone see that? Do you see these gaps? You can't see them on Robinhood on your phone if you're on Robinhood, and you're just using the line chart and whatnot and wondering why everything's tanking. There are gaps down here, and it could continue. So if we get down underneath this 595 and you start seeing red, or if I signal it or tell everybody in the community, right, look what happened last time we got below this 595 area. We started coming down to this 585, even lower into 578, and then 575 again. Okay, so be aware that these gaps will get filled if we start getting weak, if we can't hold this 597. All right, cool. All righty. QQQ. QQQ after hours below 520. Okay, so it's below 520. So it's technically sitting in a little bit of support. Okay, so even though we're falling and falling and falling, I tell everybody or the community that please do not chase until you get a little bit more confirmation, because it could be another fake out, right? This is technically still support in 519, 520. So if you are a quick scalper or a quick trader, or you want to trade the upside really quick, this is a level of interest if it holds. See that 519 went right back up. See this 519 right back up, 519 right back up, 519 right back up, 519, and we're right there again. Okay. So again, do not chase puts just because you see it going down immediately. Right, you could trade some quick calls or buy some equity up really quick. I know Ben trades equity, and get a little quick move back to the upside like that. Okay, but same sentiment. If you think of nothing and you're trading on your own, or you're not inside the community, or not able to jump in live trading, okay, Dr. B said, like, if I see green, if I see green, if I see green, okay, it's good, but I've got to be careful that the higher it goes, there's still resistance up overhead around 524, 525, if we even get back up there. Do you see that? Right there, right there, right there again. We've got to reclaim and get back above these levels to go higher. Okay? Does that make sense? Because if we do this again, could see a candle that comes right back down. Okay? So the upside, in my opinion, I would not hold calls too long right now, in my opinion. Okay. Unless we see a bigger fall. But that's just my thoughts. Not financial advice. Got to say it on these public platforms, but that's just my thoughts. Sitting in support. You can trade calls if you want to. Just don't hold them too long. Don't look away from the computer too long because we still got more downside, a lot of resistance overhead. Okay. All right. There's that. All right. What is the level if we break below? It'll be 514 again. 515, 514. So this is kind of my line in the sand where some bigger moves and the buyers would lose control. If we start breaking this trend line and get back underneath here, underneath that yellow line, which will be about 514, then you got that gap coming in like that. All right. Now, what's something that could change this whole thing? Something that could change this whole idea is the fact that we have Google and Amazon earnings this week. All right. So Google and Amazon earnings are this week. Okay. Now, if you noticed, the tech earnings have been beating their earnings, but their guidance has been off. Have y'all noticed that? So Apple technically beat their earnings and then right after dropped almost, what was that percentage? Not almost. What did Apple drop? About 6% right after their earnings. Right? So I personally think Apple potentially has lower. Right? So same thing with Meta. Meta was a little shaky on they beat their earnings technically, but no Hulk candle all the way up. It just kind of consolidated and started to sell off a little bit. Okay. Who else? We had Microsoft, same thing, right? Technically beat their earnings and gap down significantly. Do you see the trend here? So we need Google and Amazon, which historically have been pulling in, pretty decent earnings the past couple of earnings. They've been saving the day. Okay. It's Google and Amazon. All right. So Google, if they beat earnings, great. But what if their guidance is off and that AI push with Gemini is a little bit shaky? Those gaps could get filled. Right? So Brian, what are you saying, man? If these gaps get filled, what are you saying? I'm saying buy at the dip. This is what long-term investors have been waiting on. Like crash the market, bring it back down, bring Google back to me underneath $200. Bring Amazon back to me to fill these gaps back underneath 220, 200, like fill all these gaps back down, do something crazy and bring that thing all the way back down. That is what I'm saying is that if you are a true investor, you want these opportunities to come back to you. Who doesn't want these opportunities is people that are a little bit fearful. It's like, oh man, the market's crashing. Okay, great. That's fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. Right? Buy up more. That is what I'm saying is that I want this to happen. I'm not fear mongering, putting it out there that, oh man, is this a bad thing? No, it's a good thing. If they're beating earnings, but their guidance is slightly off, the guidance can be, changed easily. But as long as their numbers are performing, the guidance and the shifting of the belief in the company will come back. Right? Microsoft will fill these gaps back up again. Right? So you want this. I am so glad Microsoft has finally cooled off again, because if it keeps coming down in these low 400s, easy money. Easy money, in my opinion. No reason not to buy up Microsoft. And if the market comes back lower, it'll push Microsoft lower as well. Okay. Everybody good with this? Can I get a 5 in the chat? Let me check the chats really quick. Can I get a 5? Bring it back. Buy the dip. Exactly. That is what I want y'all to hear. Buy the dip. And you want these tech companies to not tank, but pull back. You want to wake up in the morning and see Tesla down. You want to wake up in the morning and see Microsoft down. You want to wake up in the morning and see Amazon back down. You want that, right? All these tech companies are well overextended and you want an opportunity to get back in. Everybody cool with that? You heard that man, Ben. That's my sentiment. If y'all want to really know what like Dr. B thinks, what I'm thinking, that's what I want. That's why I've been pressing on like, yo, bring this thing back. Like guidance be off, black swan events. I don't care what it is. I'm sorry it hurts. I'm sorry. Just like Trump said, I'm sorry it's painful, but this is where the wealth gap is created. Bring it back. Oh man, crypto's tanking. XRP is below 250, 3. Great. Buy up more. Great. You should have already rode the wave up. If you did not take profit, that's your fault. Right now, you got to go through some pain again and see your portfolio be up and then come right back down, buy some more. That's what an investor does. Okay. So if you're really about this skill set of investing or understanding these markets and you want to be an active one, not just a passive that doesn't look at their portfolios or doesn't look at their trading accounts for a whole year or a quarter or a month or whatever, that's fine. Let it be. But if you want to be an active investor, you better get real comfortable seeing some red. Get real comfortable. Everybody good with that honesty? Everybody cool? Awesome. If I look on a bigger time frame on this Microsoft, you see those lower highs there? I'm also looking at this consolidation here. So if you're a chart person, draw this on your charts actually. I'm just now looking at this on Microsoft. This could be real interesting here. It's in kind of this consolidation pattern. Technically still a bull flag. You can see there. Kind of a rising wedge bull flag. See how it's consolidating. Lower highs now. Starting to present some opportunities. But as it starts breaking out of underneath 400 and the market gets a little bit weak, I'm not saying that could happen, but we can come a little bit lower into the 380s or so on Microsoft if it doesn't hold 400. But I'm looking for that 400 to hold. And if Microsoft comes any lower, I'm loving it. Loving it. Historically, February is typically more of a bearish month. Okay. Typically more of a bearish month. So just know that in the back of your mind. Typically more of a bearish month. Okay. Let me show you something on SPY historically, and then we'll start wrapping up here. Please put any stocks that you have in the chat. I'll go over a couple of more. But as always, on Sundays, it's a roundabout. Okay. Remember last Sunday we talked about Apple, gave a little game plan on Apple of what could happen. That's what I want you to take away from these stock sermon Sundays. What should I do? What should I be prepared for so your heart's not pounding when you see something? Okay. All right, let me go back to tariffs on Trump here back in 2018, February. Look right here in 2017, leading up into 2018. Isn't that ironic that at the end of the month, I'm on a weekly chart. Here's the end of February. The moment February opens, the first week of February with Trump tariffs in 2018. This is February 2nd, 2018, red week. See, the SPY went from 256 to 246 immediately. So what if that happens when it goes from same thing, 597 down to 587? You see the similarities? And then it continues the following week, which is Valentine's Day, Valentine's week. Okay. We got also Mardi Gras coming up. We got the Super Bowl this weekend. So I need some money this month. Okay. Some folks want to party. Some folks want to have a good time. Some folks got some loving responsibilities. Okay. So let's pay attention, make some money this month and get up out of this month and buy this dip as well. So if this happens again, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Google, Amazon come through with tanking some earnings or something like this. But you see the first couple of weeks in February when Trump had those tariffs in place back in 2018. Okay. And you see the dip got bought up and went back up. Now it kind of consolidated, but over the course of into April and the summer, okay, the lower we go, if we have this little bearish move again, you see it goes all the way potentially into March, okay, which is tax season, right? offloading. People get a little bit fearful. They're offloading that big move. Just imagine if this was 2024, offloading that big move the first couple of months into tax season. And then Ben knows this as an accountant, right? Maybe those, they gets bought back up. We run into the summer, okay, like usual. And then there is our September, October timeframe again. This move right here in 2018 is typically what you'll see into a new presidency, or a very good explanation as to maybe what a Trump market could look like. You see how volatile it is, right? Back, forth, big run, big drop, gives it all back. And then finally into his tenure, like the second year of his term, like 2017, 2018, third year of his term. And then we're bullish, right? So this is what he means by a little bit of pain, right? A little bit of pain. Is that a good visual for everybody? Maybe give me a 1 in the chat for a good visual here. Now, things could change. I'm not saying that this will happen exactly in this realm, but people are visual people. Brian, show me what happened before. So maybe I didn't see it before. I wasn't looking at the charts. This is what volatility looks like for a couple of years, or excuse me, a year of maybe his tariff situation, right? Trump trades, international trade, things of that nature. You see the volatility, okay? So every massive dip, this is why you see investors like Warren Buffett, a lot of big hedge fund investors, why they're holding still onto more cash is because during a Trump administration, there could be massive black swan events that they want to be a little bit more prepared for. Not these little like 3, 4, 5% pullbacks. We're talking about 10, 15% pullbacks, something like this. That's a 20% pullback. Okay. Something like a 2020, 30+% pullback. They're waiting on those things. Until then, let me just kind of chill in the market a little bit, ride my wave up. If I'm already positioned, cool. I should be expecting some volatility. Cool. Let me hold the line, keep buying the dip. But a massive dip of something of the, 15, 20%, 10%, that's what investors are waiting on during this type of administration. We good? Yeah, Super Bowl in Vegas is crazy. Yeah. I need some money this week. I need the market to pay for my little Super Bowl adventure this next weekend. I'm selling some of my positions in 5 minutes on Robinhood. Seriously, man. Seriously. And I think Ben, I think you're a good testament because when I met Ben, if you see Skater Reel in there, Ben's accountant, okay, just shouting him out of Dallas. When I first met Ben, he came to the community inside of our Discord, and it's always very bullish, always very positive. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. And then we met, and he was like, Brian, are you like, why are you always playing against the market, man? And I'm like, I'm not, Ben, I'm not secretly. I'm like, I just hold on to what I've had for a while, and I just like buy the dip slowly and slowly and slowly. But I personally, it's not at my levels yet. It's not at my levels yet to buy up heavy enough. So it's almost been like a year. I think Megan too, some others, if you're inside of Leverage, if you just kind of found me recently, I've been almost talking about like bearish nature for almost like a year, right? And that does not mean don't buy up the dip continuously. But if you've been in the market for, 4 or 5 years or whatever it is, and you want to really like get something on discount, I didn't think anything in 2024 was on discount. So I'm like, I don't see anything that I want to buy. So I'm just going to trade and then maybe play some puts, and hopefully we get a bigger drop. And we just really never did, right? Into October we did for trading opportunities, but then we came right back to where we were. But the markets were up 28%, the S&P and also QQQ, right? So if you've been in long enough, right, great, like you're good. But as far as a new investor buying, like last year, at the end of last year, maybe buying a little bit, but I personally think that we got lower. There will be a bigger 2022 type of discount in the coming years. It's inevitable, right? It's inevitable. So that's what I mean by like, I'm not bearish by nature over the long term. I'm just in a season where this is like 2021, right? This is like the end of 2020 where everything is just super overextended. And it's like, I don't know when it's dropping. No one does. But I just know that this isn't a load the boat opportunity, in my opinion. Now, if you got billions and trillions of dollars like Nancy Pelosi and whatnot, and there you got someone managing your portfolio, great. But if someone's on their last $1,000 and they buy NVIDIA at 140, 150, I think it's coming back to 80, 90, right? Now, you'll eventually win over the long haul, but you might go through a pain for a little bit. And that's all I mean, right? That's all I mean. I said it last Sunday, and when we see it, I'll be thanking myself, and I'll also be like, you trusted your gut, right? You trusted your gut. Buy in a little bit on dips, pick it up when you can. But if your cash is low right now, you should be focused on building up cash, increasing your business revenue, increasing your career revenue, starting a new business, starting a side hustle, getting out and finding a way to make extra money, right? Making money with trading, whatever it is, building up cash flow. So when the dip does come, you have the cash to do it. Not loading up, in my opinion, the last piece of cash that you have at all-time highs. And then you got to go through a whole 20. That's why people ran away from the market in 2021, is because 2022 came. They're like, I don't know what the hell to do. I bought up all those EV stocks that everyone told me to buy on Clubhouse, and I got rugged in 2022. I bought Bitcoin at 70,000 and went all the way back down to 15,000. I got rugged. Yeah, because the people that were already in were telling you to buy. Let's be honest. Let's switch the shift or switch the gears this time and not make the same mistake again, that there may be a bigger dip. Okay. Everyone in agreement to that? Like, put a 6 if you see the same thing, like we're on the same page here. Buy the dip, expect a bigger dip. Simple as that. All right. Buy the dip, expect a bigger dip. Yeah, just wait till real recession. Could you see that 560 levers? I do got the Buffett mindset. I do. I'm like, why not? 560 on what? Oh, SPY. Appreciate you, Dennis. Oh, I can. If I want this recorded, okay, which it is, so I can come back to this video. I'm looking at 560 by October, potentially. Either by October of this year or starting 2026. I'm looking at 560. Unless some kind of crazy pandemic black swan event comes in and we crash down to 560. But yes, it will eventually happen. By when, no investor can tell you that. But do I believe 560? Yeah, I do. I personally do, Dennis. Timing is the worst part. Is like, man, how do you time that? You don't until you start really breaking underneath 575. That's where you can entrust that 560 is really in play. If we close a week or something like that underneath this previous balance range of about 570 to 575, right? Because you see that we didn't really close underneath there. We closed at about 580. Yeah, right at 580. And then that candle got bought back up and reclaimed 580, and we're back up at all-time highs. So until that kind of 580 weekly close happens, that line right there, yeah, that's when that 560 would come closer into play. But top ticking it right here, yeah, there's a little bit of signal. See that longer wick right there, sell signal. If I turn on the moving averages on a weekly and a daily, starting to get below some of them, but nothing major just yet. Still bullish. So right now, I would say the lowest would be about 585, 584, where we were last time. And that would be my range that I would see the lowest in the short term, just filling that gap. Maybe it could be by the next couple of weeks, right? So, yeah, that'd be my target right now in the short term. 584, 585. So if we see that this week, great. If we see it next week, cool. But that gap will get filled, in my opinion, by the end of February. Awesome. All right. IWM. I said it last time that IWM are the small caps, small cap companies. Small caps benefit from rate cuts. Okay. Small cap companies benefit from rate cuts. They need cheaper cash to borrow. Okay. The biotech companies, the quantum computing companies, they need that cash to be cheaper so they can grow and scale and invest into their business. If the cash that they're borrowing is still pricey, that is why you see the small caps kind of getting a little bit like iffy right here. Why it looks a little bit weak kind of coming off of here is because those rate cuts are paused right now. So does IWM or the small caps push down back into this 210 area? Potentially. But a lot of you have been trading IWM as of late, and it's been kind of in this chop zone, right? So to get bigger volume on IWM, you need to turn your alerts on, and you need to get IWM, in my opinion, below this 223. Okay, below that 223, you can confidently take it down into this 217 and maybe down into 215. Okay, so IWM is a good one to trade right now with volatility, in my opinion, because it's a very tight range, right? So you can kind of control it, right? So that is why some of our community members have been trading IWMs, because I can trade maybe $3 to $4 range, but SPY's moving $10, $8, $5. If I'm on the wrong side of the trade, I'm SOL. But if I'm on the right side of the trade, I make a lot of money, right? Kind of like Friday. So a lot of opportunity. Just make sure you're managing your risk and sizing down in trading. If you don't know what that means, we'll be starting up another boot camp pretty soon, and some trainings as well, just to get people reacclimated. All right. Let me check the chat as far as anything questions. 560 is less than 10% correction. Could really happen in the next 3 months. Easily. Yeah. Easily. I gave myself a bigger time frame, Ben, just because. But yeah, I think the 560 easily, personally. But got to get below these levels. If we consolidate for a month or something like that, I think it's going to have to be, NVDA earnings or something like that may just bring the market back down. All right. We're over an hour now. Wrapping it up. Let's jump into NVIDIA. Okay. NVIDIA breaks 115, in my opinion, it's coming down to 90 and 100. 95 and 100. If it breaks 115, there is nothing but room, in my opinion, back down. There's no buyers until like 100. Okay. There may be some buyers trying to hold it up and fake it out, trying to hold up 112 and whatnot. But if NVIDIA breaks 115, it's coming back down to about 90 to 100. Now, is it going to go down a fail swoop like that? Probably not. It may come down a little bit into that 110 and then have a green day potentially, and then have a red day, something like that. Okay. So 115 is going to be your marker. All right. Now, if it holds up 115, all right, we still got this big gap up right there. And that could be filled by earnings or leading up into earnings, which NVIDIA's earnings is at the end of the month. Okay. So if we push down into their earnings even further, buying opportunity. Okay. So actually, I would love NVIDIA to drop even further, but if it continues to hold this 115, 118 level, reclaims 120, chops around in here like it's been doing for a minute, okay, like that, and we start getting a candle back up, right? NVIDIA is back up, all the way back up to 140, okay? But right now it's in a consolidation channel between about 115 and 128, 129. All right. So you got to just trade this channel. And if you believe in NVIDIA that is going to just shoot up out of nowhere on one day, great. Okay. Just keep adding into it. If you trust it, if you trade it, keep adding into it even more. the lower it falls, right? So, where can you confidently believe that NVIDIA is going to completely just fill this gap? If NVIDIA gets back above 130 and closes the day back above 130, okay, that's where I would be confident of taking NVIDIA back up and swinging it heavy, meaning swinging calls heavy on NVIDIA. Okay. It's got to get back above that 130 and close the day. Okay. You see right here, there was a daily that closed at 129. Next day dropped. Daily closed at 124. Next day dropped. So it's technically forming right now lower highs. So people are trying to time it, right? And some people are getting faked out where they try to time it. Oh man, NVIDIA is going crazy, and they don't take profit. Right back down the next day. Right back down the next day. Okay. So trade NVIDIA if you'd like, but just be mindful that it is still below this 130 area and sellers are still protecting this area. Okay. So it's got to get back above that 130 and go. All right. AMD earnings coming this week on Tuesday. All right. And that could help NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA benefits from AMD earnings, AMD has really good earnings, pops up. I think this is a good risk to reward. So if you've been buying AMDL, or if you've been buying up some AMD and maybe light size, because people still have speculations around AMD, in my opinion. There's a lot of folks that are still, a little iffy on it, but I don't pay attention to the news. I'm just looking that it is severely on sale. Okay. As you can see, it dropped all the way from 127 down to this 115. Could earnings send it lower? Yeah, it could. But if you're already in, I think it's a good opportunity to buy up some shares of AMDL. Maybe it's a little bit less risky for you. All right, it's at $6 for some shares. If those shares come lower, cool, buy up some more, and you don't have a lot of risk into it. If you buy earnings as far as options calls, right, I think it's a decent opportunity. But anyone that's been buying options calls right in this 125, it's all the way back to 115, right? They're slightly down right now, right? So they got to pick up more. So if you can keep picking up some, put some time on it, then AMD could, go. All right. Where would bulls step back in AMD? Would be above 125, in my opinion. 125 would kind of change this trend a little bit if it got back above that 125 like that. Then we could take it up to that 133 and then back up to this 137. Okay. So we need this trend to kind of start changing on AMD. I think that's about it. Final thoughts for anybody. Final thoughts. Questions, clarity, anything? I appreciate everybody for staying a little bit longer. We're just slightly over an hour time frame. Chat. Loving to look at first SPX play. Okay. I can give a little game on that. Little game on SPX. NVIDIA is 113 in after hours in Robinhood already. I didn't even look. So it's already below 115. You're like, Brian, it's already below that level. So yeah, if it's below 115, there's going to be a gap in the morning, right? So just be mindful of that NVIDIA is going to have a gap in the morning. Look at this. Can y'all believe they traded Luca? That's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, wow. Kyrie is now requesting a trade. Sorry, sidebar. Oh, man. They've been talking about the Mavs moving to Vegas. I'm like, did I know something before I left? Telling you, man, Vegas like a hidden gem. Earnings. All right, let's pull this big earnings piece up here. Palantir on Monday after close. What are they gonna do? Hopefully they bring it back. Spotify has been going crazy. Merck, I'm interested in. I've been talking about Merck for a minute. Just a little concerned about the healthcare sector. It's been a little bit shaky, but anytime there's shakiness, it typically goes right back up. AMD, Google, in phase, always decent. Um, yeah, Snap even after close on Tuesday. Disney, Uber on heavy watch. Their chart looks really, really good. Affirm is doing really well. Is also like this is heavy. Wow, we got some ARM, Qualcomm. We got some heavy hitters this week. There could be some money made and volatility this week. Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. This is gonna be interesting. There's a lot. There's a lot. If I were to say of anything, there'll be market movers. It's going to be obviously AMD, Google, Amazon, and Lilly. Those are your big market movers. It's going to move the entirety of the market. Everything else could just be really good, decent trades. Affirm, I think Pinterest, obviously, as well. Um, yeah, Amazon, Lilly, Google, AMD, and then obviously not obviously, but Qualcomm and ARM are in the semiconductor sector. So that'll affect NVIDIA. Yeah, this will be interesting. NVIDIA could be a buy up opportunity down at 110 for a little trade. That could be a buy up opportunity into their earnings. They could run up into earnings. Who knows? Crazy. Yeah, of course. What's going on, Zero? How are you? Nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you. Or if it's a female, I never like to assume. But Zero, what's going on, man? How are you? Whoever it is, thank you so much. Let me give you my opinion. I'm in a long dated NVIDIA trade. Just wanted your opinion on it if you would like to. Yeah. I think you jumped in maybe a little bit late, but I'll answer that. And I'll answer Dennis's question on SPX. Okay. So NVIDIA after hours on Robinhood right now, it's not showing it on Webull, is down here at this yellow line. Okay. So what Zero is saying is I'm in a long dated call, meaning he entered that call probably when it dropped at like 120s, just underneath 130. So he's been in this chop zone a little bit, right? Consolidation. So what I would say personally is I like the idea of calls. Now where and when it's going to recover is going to be based on your expiration date. Are you in calls? Right? And if you could give me your expiration date, that would help a lot too. That would help a lot too if you can give me your expiration date. Because if he has an expiration date into March, something like that, then I personally think, he's good. You can add maybe one more time, but you've got to also respect your stop loss. Okay. So if your trade is starting to get 30% down, 40% down, whatever your stop loss is, personally, percentage wise, I would cut it and re-add. Okay. So still respect your stop losses if that is starting to, get a little bit heavy and you're not willing to add more. So if you can give me your strike price and your expiration date, that would help out a lot, Zero. Yeah, Google at 199. It's crazy. Everything's at a very, very key level. SPY is at 592. Are you serious right now? God dang. They are really tanking. See, okay. So sentiment has changed a little bit. We're gonna have a significant gap in the morning. We're gonna have a significant gap in the morning. So I would be very careful. Um, it's gonna be a falling knife in the morning. Falling knife in the morning. So SPY 593. It's already down there. I think we'll have a recovery. It's going to be severely oversold. So there could be some buyers really quickly. So I'd be very careful about chasing puts in the morning. So, man, golly, that trade is going crazy, man. Oh my gosh, the trade is going crazy. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, I signaled this on Friday. Okay. I signaled 608 puts for expiration tomorrow, and I'm out of those. SPY is at 592. Do you get that one contract is about to pay for someone's rent or mortgage tomorrow? And people are like, yo, I I can't join the community. I yo, I don't know what this is literally about to be $15 to $2,000 contracts. Well, Brian, how much were they when you signaled them? $200. 200 to about 1,500 to 2 grand in one contract. I'm sick. I'm sick. Got in the ultimate swing trade into the new month. That would have literally paid for my. Anyways, neither here nor there. I just like that when our sentiment's right, whether you win or you don't win. Got in last June, expiring 12/26. Got in last June. Okay, cool. What's the the strike price? Or are you talking about shares? Did you get in shares or are you in an option contract? Zero. Are you in shares or are you in an option? Okay, you must be in an options contract because you gave me an expiration date. Can you give me a strike price? What strike price? So you got in last June. So you're in a long dated leap option contract last June. So he got in. Okay. Not a bad entry. Okay. So you got in at 99 to 100. Okay. So this is where Zero entered his leap option. Okay. Entered his leap option right here. Okay. Right around $100. This was a great trade. So you've been holding that contract through this first move all the way back down and then all the way back up to all-time highs. Okay. What I would suggest, depending on how many that you have, not financial advice, but depending on how many you have, okay, if you can get one more pop, I would hold still because we still have higher lows forming. Okay. So this gap needs to get filled and will probably get filled before your expiration date. Okay. But if I get one more pop like this, depending on how many contracts you have, Zero, I would have trimmed at the ties. That would have just been my, even though that contract doesn't expire until 12/26, you can always re-add back in potentially. So if we get one more pop, my thought process is hold through the earnings of NVIDIA, and you can have two strategies. One, if NVIDIA pops, you're good again. Okay, you're good again. Now, if NVIDIA somehow falls back again to this 90 or 100 level, right, back underneath those levels, you could potentially add another one. Okay. So you've got plenty of time. I love the idea. That's an amazing trade. I know you spent a good amount of money comparatively. I'm not sure, what your trading portfolio or whatnot looks like, but I know that contract was in the four figures. Okay. So you've placed a safe trade at a very good level and you've been holding this whole time. Right. So you just need to monitor that to make sure that, okay, am I going to hold for 160, 170 if NVIDIA gets that this year? And we need to really clear back above this 141. So you can hold through the earnings. However, you've got to be understanding that if it falls, what's your game plan? Add another one or just keep a break even stop and reassess. That's my thought process. But that's amazing. And that also gives everyone else perspective of a leap and a big swing, how much you really have to trust that. Because if he added right here and was up 100, 200, 300, 400 plus percent on this first move, and then it tanks and he's still holding, right? And then it goes all the way back up to all-time highs. He's back up 500% plus, 1,000% plus, right? And then it falls back again. How much psychological wherewithal that has to be, right? So swing trading is not as easy as people think because yeah, you have time on your contract, but your emotions are going up and down and up and down, right? So Could NVIDIA be a buy zone right here? Maybe on this trend line. Who knows? Maybe on that trend line. But yeah, I'd just be very mindful into this 100, 110 area, back into these big buy zones right here. That helps, Zero? Yeah. Yeah. Simulated $1,400 right now for those SPY puts. Yeah. So everybody, that's the strategy we've talked about in the community. It's just who's going to pull the trigger on it. Dennis asked that question the other day, like, Brian, would you ever spend 2,000 or something dollars on like a leap or whatever? I'm like, yeah, depending on what it is. If it's low enough, like if NVIDIA comes, if it did, I'm just using NVIDIA as an example because it's weak right now at 112 or 113, wherever it is. If it did come down to these 80s, I would probably not be day trading it. I'd probably just buy $1,000 to $2,000 contract, something like that, and then just take it out to the end of the year or next year or something and not even worry about it. Right. And take it right back up, in my opinion. That's where I would spend hefty amount of money. Up in here, maybe. But down here, yeah. So that's why I thought that was a really good trade that Zero had, buying NVIDIA in June for probably 4 figures of a leap, because he thought that the value was really good once it broke this 90 level, right? That previous high, and then it's now taking it back up, and now, back down, and then we're all back up, right? So this was obviously before, when was the stock split? The stock split right there? I forgot when it was. I think it was in June or July, stock split. So, but yeah, I like it. I like it still. So hopefully everybody got value of that about analyzing. It all depends on, when someone asks that question, depends on people's entries, what their expiration date is, and what's the objective. So if the entry is really good, you can hold longer. If the entry was all the way up here at 141, I'm like, hey man, I don't know. If it pops, great, cut it, break even, take your losses. Don't hold for broke, in my opinion, or be prepared to add another one. But now he's just chilling on profits, trying to be like, is it going to come back or not? Or should I keep my stop loss at break even or add another one? All right. Cool. 2 contracts. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. So you've got options, all puns intended. So if it pops, right, again, that's where I would trim maybe one, right? If it fills this gap back up, which not if, but when it fills this gap back up to 140, 145, 150 maybe, okay? In the period of time, maybe earnings does it, something happens, they get good news, whatever, it pops back up to there. That's where I would trim one. That's just me, okay? That's just me. Now, some people are diamond hands and they hold. I like to go ahead and protect my profits personally. So that's how I trade a leap. If I see it back up at all-time highs and my entry was down here at 98 and it goes to 156, 157, I maybe trim one and then hold one, right? If it falls, you could have the opportunity, depending on what your cash flow and everything looks like and how comfortable you are. If it falls back down there to a higher low, you could add maybe one more if you'd like. And then just keep your stop loss at break even. Or if you want to keep your stop loss in profit and say, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and trim one at 30%, 40%, whatever my profit is, and just go ahead and take it, reassess, and then maybe add another one later. That's up to you. So I don't want to influence your decision. I'm just giving you some levels that I love the entry, I love the trade, and I would hold. So if that gives you any confidence, I would hold. I just like trimming personally if I have more than one contract, depending on when that move happens. Does that help, Zero? Does that help, man? So, not financial advice, obviously. Got to say it on those public platforms, but hopefully that gives you perspective. Thoughts on looking at Palantir off earnings? Just wait on it. I'm personally waiting. It's at all-time highs. I mean, it depending, we never know, Dennis. We never know. We never know because could Palantir do one of those moves where it just goes stupid to 100 again? Yeah, it could. It hasn't been making rational sense other than that people keep buying the dip, right? Their CEO is great. Their partnerships are great. So everything makes sense for Palantir being at 80, 90, $100. But as far as the technicals are telling me it's oversold. I mean, it's going to be overbought. That's what the technicals are telling me, right? I mean, look at this monthly. So could we have a red month? Yeah, but there's no signals of any like selling really on a monthly. That's a big bull flag right there. So there's a little bit of selling kind of signal right there, maybe. And then we have some gaps below, as you can see there on an hourly, back down in the 60s. So, uh, yeah, I don't know if it's worth a lotto. I don't know if it's worth a lotto, Dennis. I mean, you had a great month, man, of green, and I think keeping the same strategy and just trading with those, at least a day or two on the contracts for our indexes and waiting on the earnings, kind of getting that secondary move, just keeping green, keeping green, keeping green. Because when we see a big gap fill or a big opportunity, right, we're not trying to force anything on something like this, right? But yeah, as we know, anything can happen. A lot of money can be made, and we'll look back and be like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But is it better to just be like, hey, I'm glad I wasn't on the other side of that, you know? So I just don't know if it's worth it because Palantir falling from 80 to 60 in earnings, I just don't know if I see that happening. Their earnings typically move. What happened last earnings? It went from 40 to 47. The previous earnings went from 20 to 25 overnight. Like you would at least have to give it, a week or next week contracts for it to make that secondary move. So if they miss on earnings or guidance is off or something, it would kind of be into like February 14th, giving that secondary move for continuation. I just don't think it's going to happen the same week personally. That's just my belief. All right. Just going through questions now. Man, I'm telling you, the Tesla. Oh my gosh. Tesla at 387 right now. Like I should be trading futures right now, but I've been chilling on futures until the market settles. I actually want to trade it back up. So yeah, that's why I've been collecting some profits and some money on options until the market chills out a little bit. But futures right now going crazy probably. Let's see. Yeah, not really moving. What the heck? That's weird. Hmm. Interesting. That's weird. All right. Oh, a gap down right there. Was that the? Yeah, there's that gap down. Yep. So there'll be a big gap on QQQ in the morning. Right there, you can see it on NQ, and then ES. Maybe I just had to update it. There'll be that big gap right there um, on SPY in the morning. So could we continue down? Yeah, it's a possibility, but that's going to be severely oversold in the morning. So if you're my futures people, you can do some MES maybe, some MNQ maybe to see if it pops back up to the highs. But I'd be very careful that this, fall could, drop even lower. It could be just a retest. So we're below that 6,000 on ES, which will be on SPY. Wow. Yeah. Back down here, 593, 592. And SPY is Yeah, that would be that 596 on SPY would be ES 6000. Okay, so levels are leveling. So if we see it below 596 in the morning, if it can't get back above that level 596, right around there, so I'm gonna turn that into a rejection right now. Then that's where the market's gonna maybe try to reject or stay below. Right there, the ES 6000. So we got to get back above 596 in the morning, or it's going to reject that and try to come lower. So now y'all see what's possible this week is that gap could easily get filled, right? This week, if we continue. It's got to trade it right. QQQ. Where is it after hours on Robinhood? 516 or 515, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, you're so welcome, man. Awesome. Yep, XRP dropping, Bitcoin dropping. Yep. Everything's in alignment. Everything's in alignment. Bitcoin still got to hold up that 91K. But do y'all see this? I don't see no buyers yet on this one. I don't like to use my southern slang, but I don't see no buyers yet on this one just yet. So is this the move that sends us lower? Right, like that. Okay. Ethereum below 3,000 is interesting. Okay, so 2,800 is my buy zone. As you can see there, hit right at my level. But I don't see any buyers just yet. So it's got to hold up maybe 26, 2,500, or else it's coming all the way back down to 2 like that in my next buy zone, which is 21,000. Excuse me, 2,100. MSTR is probably filling this gap back down to 280. Coinbase probably going to fill this gap back down to 240 and 200 again. So everything is working out. Love it. I'm going to do a whole YouTube video over gap fills. Is everyone seeing how the black swan events or something is coming is lining up with these gaps below? So we don't know when, but I'm not surprised because we know that these gaps need to get filled. So anytime I see gaps below, there's going to be something that comes up out of nowhere that's going to be like, what the hell just happened? And drive it back down to that gap. Okay. So that's why I'm always a little bit cautious anytime I see multiple gap ups on the market, right? When there's too much positive news, here's SPY, gap up, gap up, gap up, another gap up there, and then gives it all back in like 3 days. There you go. So that's why I don't like waking up in the morning seeing positive news. I'm like, damn, like long-term portfolio looking great, but I can't get a trade because it just goes up in the morning, goes up in the morning, goes up in the morning. I'm like, I can't find an entry based on my trading style. So, all right. Peace, love, and blessings, everybody. QQQ's at 511, 520. Oh my gosh, bro. I'm not getting on a plane right now. Just saying, y'all know why. But I would have probably taken the week off if I would have put some size on. I would have put some size on. I would have taken the week off. I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know if we could have got a better top tick entry, Dennis, than what we signaled on Friday. I don't know. I don't know, because if this whole gap fills tomorrow and QQQ's below 510, so now new levels. You're so welcome. Thanks so much, Megan. We're well past time, but I just like hanging out with y'all. Cool. Well, that's it, everybody. Trade safe this week. Don't forget to join Leverage University. Use the code FEB10 if you are still not inside of some of the levels, or you're renewing for levels, or you're in a mentorship and then you need to get yourself back in, whatever it is. We'll be starting some fresh new boot camps this month. At some point, I want to educate people a little bit more on these gap fills and answering questions and, creating a little short course, whatever it is, because there's a lot of information. Yeah. With SPX options being so high, how do you determine your entry? Every time I say I'm taking a day off, something crazy happens, man. Y'all need to stop me on that. Come on, Christian. Hey, hey, Dr. B say he's taking a day off, man. He's sleeping in. Something crazy is gonna happen. um, Dennis, I only trade SPX options if I see a massive gap on SPY, meaning a gap that's typically like $5 to $6. So on Friday, I saw a gap from about 609 to down to like 604 or so. So I felt comfortable trading SPX options out of the money. The only other time I trade SPX options is during power hour, the last 30 minutes, or either scalping the last 10 minutes of the market. So you can hold SPX options the last after 30 minutes. Remember, SPY on Robinhood and whatnot, you can't, right? But you can trade SPX options after that 3:30 time span, right? So it was beautiful, man. Right. So I like to buy SPX options personally. I like to trade them when they're in around the $100 to maximum $150 range. Okay. So that's my kind of buy point. So on Friday, it was literally the A plus setup for me. That's why I got 2 contracts. And those contracts went from $1.30 to $1,800 at the end of the day. So you're talking about I had 2 contracts. I sold at $500-$600 profit. Yeah, you get the drift. So $300 into 3,000. That's the power of SPX, but you need the right setup for it. You need a little cushion as well. So I usually like trading them also when I've had a good week or a good day, and I can, if something happens to the $100 or whatever, cool. But if I see opportunity for $100 to turn into 1,000, I'll take it. Right? So squeeze plays, oversold, overbought, things like that. All right. So about $4 to $5, maybe $6 on SPY. So I like to look at SPY and then correlate it with SPX. Cool. All right, everybody. Peace, love, and blessings. Thank y'all so much. A little bit longer today, but I think